This is The Catch-Up, and I'm Emily Sachar. Race car building, welding torches, defending against hackers, turning literature into live performance. At Red Hook High School, most of next year's newly proposed course offerings are breaking sharply from the traditional mold and leaning hard into hands-on learning and real-world pathways. The Board of Education has approved 6 new courses for the 2026-27 school year, including an In-House Welding Pathway, a 3-course race car program, a new IB literature and performance option, and AP Cybersecurity, programs designed to help students graduate with college credit, industry credentials, or both. Today, we're joined by Claire Greenberger, the Daily Catch schools and education reporter who's been covering these changes, to talk about why they matter, how they came together, and what they signal about the future of high school education in Red Hook. It's the week of January 19th. Claire, welcome back to The Catch-Up.
It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
So Claire, let's take each of these new courses or pathways one at a time. Let's talk about race car building.
Yeah, so at last week's Red Hook school board meeting, district leaders rolled out a number of new course offerings, and I'm really excited to talk about them all today. And the race car class is one that particularly perked up my ears during the presentation, as I'm sure it did for many parents and families in the room as well. And it really is what it sounds like. If all goes according to plan, students could spend next year racing a car they built themselves in class and competing against race teams from other school districts across the state. And what's interesting is that it's not just one class, it's actually a 3-course, and all courses will run simultaneously. So there's a builder course where students physically build and assemble a car. There's a visual communications course where students design graphics, branding, and decals for the race car. And then there's a marketing and media relations course focused on finding sponsorships and promotion and the business side of running a racing operation. And together, the 3 courses will function like a real-world racing team.
And Claire, just so I'm clear, we're not talking about a toy race car. We're talking about a car that human beings will get inside of and drive.
Exactly. A real race car.
Wow. So what is the inspiration for this program?
Yeah, it's part of a nonprofit organization's program called the Winner Circle Project, which already operates in several Dutchess County school districts, including Pine Plains and Hyde Park. So Red Hook would be joining that network, and the program culminates in an end-of-the-year showcase where Red Hook will race its car against those other districts, and there will, of course, be a winner, which will be a lot of fun.
May I ask, how fast are these cars going to go? And how safe is this?
That's a very good question. I guess we'll have to go to the showcase to find out.
So are there insurance implications? Does the district need to have special policies for this?
Yeah, so high school principal Roddy said the cars are sent out to a third-party company for safety testing before they're ever raced. So they're inspected to make sure they're properly built and safe to operate. As for insurance, they didn't discuss those details during the initial presentation, but representatives from the Winners Circle Project are scheduled to present to the board next month and answer additional questions. So parents and students who are curious or concerned will have an opportunity to hear more directly from the organization.
Claire, did they talk at all about the educational rationale for a program like this?
So a lot of different skills will be taught through this program, and they're different depending on which class you're participating in. So in the visual communications course, students are learning art and graphic design skills. In the marketing course, they're focused on advertising and fundraising and promotion. And then in the build course, students are learning hands-on mechanical skills. So district leaders really frame this as a prime example of experiential hands-on learning skills that are just directly transferable into the workforce. And they also emphasize the community building that's likely to come from this. So all 3 classes run at the same time. So students are moving between spaces and classrooms to see what the other groups are doing, and they also work together. So for example, students in the marketing class might film a promotional video featuring the students building the car, or they could go in and take photos for a newsletter they're writing. So that collaboration is a big part of the learning experience here. And students are also out in the world. They're going on field trips, including to real-world manufacturing facilities and racetracks. So they're getting a lot of out-of-classroom learning time as well, which is something that I know the district really values.
So interesting. School has really changed since I was in high school. I am dating myself. I will leave it at
I definitely didn't have anything like this.
So let's very briefly about the cost to do this program.
It's definitely a significant investment. The total cost is about $150,000 to operate the program. That's like a flat rate for the program, plus roughly $50,000 for car parts. So of that, about $71,000 would be funded by local taxpayers, and then the remaining would be covered through state aid reimbursement. What district leaders pointed out is that participating schools typically auction the finished car that they've built at the end of the season. And through that, they're usually able to recoup something between $35,000 and $45,000. So they say that helps make the program a bit more financially viable.
Okay. So no investment in capital equipment for this one.
No.
Okay. But there is for the welding. So let's move on to the welding conversation. Another program that sounds fascinating and life-altering for the students who participate. This one also sounds dangerous. Tell us about it.
Sure. So this is one of the more practical and honestly really significant changes for the district. For the first time, Red Hook is going to offer a in-house career and technical education welding pathway, which means more students will be able to learn to weld within the school building and without having to leave the district for training.
So what do you learn to do in a welding course?
You're basically learning metalworking. So those skills could be transferable into carpentry and a number of other trades. Could be really useful for.
Claire, doesn't BOCES, the continuing education program for Dutchess County, have welding courses already? Why would we need to do that at the high school?
Yeah, they do. So right now, if you're a Red Hook student who wants to learn to weld, you basically have to compete for one of just 2 seats per year in the Dutchess BOCES welding program, which is in Poughkeepsie. And right now, there's way more interest than there are spots. So a lot of students just don't get in because there are only 2 seats. And for the students who do, the commute ends up being a real problem. It's about an hour round trip, and that can pull kids away from classes and clubs and sports and just the day-to-day life of being a Red Hook student. But with this new pathway, students can graduate with a technical endorsement. So that's a formal recognition that they've built these skills in a specific trade, as well as their Regents diploma. So that can just help them have a leg up in the job market. And this pathway was just approved by the state education department last week, which is a really big deal because it makes Red Hook one of only about 7 districts statewide offering in-house welding. And for such a small district like Red Hook, that's really pretty significant. And I'll say there are a few reasons the district is pushing for this. One is student interest, as I mentioned. And then the other is there's a real workforce demand. So the American Welding Society estimates that the U.S. will need more than 320,000 new welding professionals by 2029. So the course could offer a real pathway into a job where there's high demand. So district leaders emphasize that students would take just 1 welding course per year, which is great because it's designed to fit into a student's schedule without forcing them to choose between welding and the other classes they want to take, the other activities that they want to partake in. So it'll solve a lot of problems that are related to the current welding training program at BOCES.
Got it. And what about the cost for this one?
Yeah, there's a bit of a catch with this program. It depends on a capital project that's likely to go before voters in May. So the district needs about $1.1 million to upgrade facilities and equipment to support the program. They want to upgrade their welding facilities so that this program can really be what it promises to be. And if voters don't approve that project, district leaders said the welding pathway would be delayed. Absolutely, this will definitely be something that we continue to watch and report on.
So let's move on. There's yet another practical training program on cyber hacking. What sorts of schemes is this course designed to educate students to help resolve? Can you give us some examples?
So this course is really about teaching students how to defend against cyber attacks, not how to carry them out, at least as I understand it. Students will learn how to protect computer systems, networks, sensitive data from digital threats. So you can imagine things like data breaches, phishing schemes, other network vulnerabilities. It's part of what's called the AP Career Kickstart. That's been developed by the College Board and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And it's designed to connect high school classes more directly to careers that are actually in demand. And what's different about this course compared to a traditional AP class is that students aren't just working toward possible college credit. They can also graduate with this recognized industry credential, which again can help them post-grad in the job market. And students in the course will work through real-world cybersecurity scenarios, and they'll wrestle with some big ethical questions. So I'm sure it'll be very interesting for those comp sci inclined students at Red Hook.
Claire, are kids interested in cyber hacking? Is this something that they're even aware of?
Apparently, yes. And there's also, again, a really strong workforce argument behind it. Teachers told the board at the presentation last week that the cybersecurity workforce currently meets only about 74% of employer demand. So the idea is that this course gives students an early on-ramp into this fast-growing field. So whether they're going to use it to go directly into a cybersecurity related job after graduation or to study computer science, it's just meant to help them pursue whatever pathway they are interested in.
So interesting. Okay, so there is also a new IB course that you've written about. Claire, can you review for our listeners what the IB program is now and what courses are already included?
Yeah, sure. So IB is short for International Baccalaureate, and that is an internationally recognized academic program that Red Hook brought to the high school in 2001. And the Red Hook School offers what's called the full IB diploma, which students can choose to opt into at the end of their sophomore year. And it's a pretty big academic commitment that students undertake to challenge themselves and make them better prepared for college. It also looks good for colleges when you're applying. So to get that full diploma, students take 6 IB level courses across core subjects like English and math and history. And they also pursue major writing and research projects during their last 2 years of high school. But a change came in 2024. In 2024, school leaders decided that all juniors and seniors, not just the few that are pursuing the full diploma, could benefit from the IB approach to learning. So they moved to require IB level English for all 11th and 12th graders. And they say that that change has gone well overall. But one problem that they've realized that it's created is that it's left very little room for theater-based learning in English classes, which used to be an option for students before they made this shift.
So talk to us, Claire, about what the course will provide. And is it a substitute for the IB English for All program?
Yeah, so this new course, it's called IB English Literature and Performance, is meant to give students in 11th and 12th grade another pathway. So instead of taking the traditional IB English course, they can choose this other option, which is going to focus on performance and theater and blending literature with theater and literary analysis with theater. And students will study many of the same texts as they do in the traditional IB English course, so the same novels and plays and poetry, but they'll approach them slightly differently. So they'll analyze dramatic works and learn how to transform non-dramatic texts like short stories or poems into performance pieces. And the idea is to encourage creative thinking while keeping the academic rigor of IB high.
So, Claire, if I'm a rising junior, I would have the choice of taking IB English or this IB English/theater course, it would be one or the other?
Exactly.
And could I do that for both years, or I would do it in either junior year or senior year?
That's a good question. I believe that you're committing to both years.
Okay, so we'll make sure that our listeners pay close attention to those rules and requirements. And Claire, can students who aren't pursuing an IB diploma take this course?
Yes. So students, it's open to all students. You don't need to be pursuing the full IB diploma to take it. And for students who are working towards the diploma, the course will still count toward their IB requirements, just like the traditional English course. So it's really just more about expanding choice without lowering the expectations. The department has been very clear about that.
Okay, great. Claire, just a little bit of backup here. When the Board of Ed was talking about this last week, what was their general rationale and their general statement to the public about why they're going down this path with these practical courses? Did they talk about that at all?
Yeah, a big thing is workforce demand, and the world is changing so much, and they want the school's academic offerings to prepare students for the world that they're entering. These course offerings really meet students where they're at in a number of different ways. So for a very high achieving academic student, they're going to have more options to pursue more creative sort of studies through this IB theater course. And then, of course, for students who are more interested in the trades, they'll have a number of more options there as well. So it really just is intended to support a variety of different learners with a variety of different goals.
Because it strikes me, Claire, tell me if you disagree, that it's still a very ambitious kind of program.
Totally. I mean, it's super ambitious, the amount of facilities that are required for these sorts of courses, and not all districts could do this. So it's amazing that they are offering courses that are suited to just a variety of different students and really responding to student interest as well. It was interesting when Principal Roddy was talking about the welding course, he described it as AI proof, meaning that as AI is taking over a number of jobs, it's unlikely to take over welding. So it's important for students to have these hands-on practical skills, and that's going to serve them well in their lives as well.
Claire, do these just get put on the diet of opportunity for students, or is there some role that the taxpayers will play in this discussion?
So these courses are folded into the district's proposed budget, which voters will consider in May. Voters don't vote on individual classes, but they do vote on the overall budget and capital projects. And if the budget fails, the district has two options. It can revise the budget and bring it back to voters for another vote, or it can go into contingency mode, which would severely limit spending and often lead to some program cuts. So while these courses are approved, they still need approval from the community.
And Claire, will this look on the ballot like a separate vote that people will take separate from the regular budget vote?
No, so it'll be the regular budget vote and then the capital projects.
So that's where the welding, the $1.1 million project will be.
Yeah, that'll be in the capital project section, but the classes are just, folded into the regular school budget.
Well, Claire, thank you as always for coming on the Catch Up. I think this was a very interesting conversation. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
This concludes the Catch Up. Thanks to Matty Rosenberg, Jen Hammoud, and Esther Martell at our podcast partner, Radio Free Rhinecilff, for their help in producing this episode. See you next week.